As the only negative thing I'm going to talk about between Shadowbringers and Endwalker, we need to talk about WoW. When Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker was scheduled for the mid to late November 19th and 23rd release dates, there was talk that patch 9.1.5 and the time walking event adding Legion was targeting Final Fantasy. WoW and Blizzard in general have been known for taking advantage of the position they're in to market in as advantageous of a way as possible, whether or not that is good for gamers or competition. But I don't think that's what was happening. I think 9.1.5 needed to come out when it was ready, and I hope to God they weren't sitting on a patch trying to be strategic when people are starving for content. Just push it. You are not in a negotiating position. As far as the time walking goes, at some point, Legion had to be added to time walking. So for Final Fantasy players, time walking is effectively the same as like the Unreal Trials, but it's been going on for a very long time. So imagine if Unreal Trials, every patch cycle updated for the main patch and the half patch, and you got to do a different Unreal Trial from 6.0 to 6.0.5, 6.0.5, or to 6.1, and you got 2 for each one. And every, let's say, patches in 14 are about 16 weeks apart, so let's say in 14, every 8 weeks you got a new Unreal worth doing. Every time. Except that in WoW, because everything has to be time-gated and retention mechanics, you're only allowed to do them in the first week that they come out, and then they disappear. So let's just layer a little bit of awful in there for no reason. Fine. They're effectively a seasonal event. That's what's happening. They go through old expansions because they don't have synced and minimum item level modes that are really as good as what 14 does, because it wasn't built that way. And so at some point they add old expansions, just like we add Explorer mode, or we added the Duty Recorder, or we went back and did weapon coffers for old stuff. They just take old content, they dust it off, and they give it to you as something to do in between waves of new content. No big deal. So all I believe that at some point Legion had to be added. At some point when Legion was added, people were going to ask about Mage Tower. And there's another time walking event like now. And then there's another one in like another 4 or 6 weeks or whatever. And then another one after that, and then another one after that. So to say that that's targeting that is really weird. That would be like Final Fantasy fans saying that Live Letter 67 was targeting some news event for another game, except that it's number 60-freaking-7. It's no big deal. So I thought people were overreacting, because also November is an incredibly popular time to release games. Pokemon was coming out on November 19th, except that it didn't get delayed, and did. So, games just come out in November. Gamers consume games in November. Final Fantasy doesn't own November. Now, when Final Fantasy got delayed, I laughed, because wait till people find out how close this is to the next time walking. They're going to get freaked out about the same thing. And then, World of Warcraft did the funniest thing. World of Warcraft announced yesterday, at 7 p.m., that on Friday, December 3rd, early release for Endwalker Round 2, we will be beginning our raid testing on the PTR. Raid testing could start anytime they want. They could have announced this weeks ago. Had this been announced 4 weeks in advance, they couldn't have known 14 would be delayed, and people who accuse them of dropping this would be wrong. But what the hell, Blizzard? The previous one could be purely coincidental. The previous one is not that big of a deal. Who in their right mind thought that a half patch and a relaunch of old content as seasonal retention mechanics was going to take on an expansion that's the finale to a saga? If they legitimately thought that was targeting it, who cares? But WoW's strongest remaining content is if they could literally still release raids. If they could release good raids on time, that's the last remaining arrow in their quiver. Until they rebuild this game, rebuild the in-house culture, and build a community that's worth being excited to be a part of, The one thing that WoW has is high-end, world-first style raid content, on-patch content, ahead-of-the-curve content. This is their thing. This is the one thing that, from some points of view, they still do better than 14. Just through sheer quantity of bosses. There are different links and stuff. It's not exactly apples to apples, but people are legitimately excited about WoW. And if you like top-end raids, honestly, at the rate that raids release in both these games, it might be worth considering, if you like dabbling with them, playing a little bit of both, because they're on alternating 2-year cycles. And so if you don't like where one game's at, play the other one. Raids is the one thing. It's the one thing. So to take your strongest content and not launch it where it's like, well, I mean, they had to launch it at some point and, you know, it was built up in advance. But to say, no, we need to put it in our beta test state to get people hyped, to make sure that the top end raiders are there. Why would you do that now? What is wrong with you? But I will say, the joke's a little bit on them, because the person that you're targeting with this, in my opinion, are people that play on PTRs. You're targeting top-end raiders. You're targeting the hardcore players. And this looks like a dick move done by a moron. Because 14 Savage Raid doesn't drop for another 4 weeks. So they can do the PTR while leveling up their top-end tomes. All that stuff is set. WoW would release a game on a Friday and say, you know what, guys? Our retention mechanics don't even kick in until Tuesday. So there's 70 hours of content to do over 3 days. Take it pretty cash as long as you're caught up by Tuesday. It's no big deal. 14 gives you 4 weeks. You got 4 weeks before literally anything matters. But this does look like a dick move. It doesn't do anything, because you can go do the PTR raids and level up in 14. But this is a dick move. You want to pick December 2nd while the game's offline? Do it. You want to pick December 7th, the official launch date? Do it. You want to pick December 10th, the Friday after? Do that. To literally start it on the exact same day and not announce it until less time than 14 told us there was a delay. To announce this mere days before, whether or not that's their plan. I don't know the history. Maybe they always announce PTR things this close because they're trying to play close to the vest. But you know what? It's time for Blizzard to not do things the way they've been doing them. The way you've been doing them sucks. It's not working out. So, figure it out. What is wrong with you? I defend a lot of stuff because I think that we should try to hold everything up to a fair standard at all times. And if we just say, I don't like this person, so I heard this thing about them on the internet, and because it's bad and I think they're bad, it must be true. I don't want to live in that world where instead of us being innocent until proven guilty, or given a chance to say our piece, or being aware that there's multiple viewpoints of an event, we just all on Twitter put up a little poll, and then we say, okay, there were 200 votes that the bad person's bad and 100 that they're good, so I guess it's true, and that's our facts now. I don't want to live in that world. But this looks like a dick move. What is wrong with you, Blizzard? I want you to be a better company. A company is just a amalgamation. It's just a grouping of a bunch of people's actions. And so if you take a bunch of people out and you put a bunch of new people in, companies can change. You happen to have a lot of IP and a lot of memories of mine that makes me want to live in a day where there's a better Blizzard. And as a gamer, it benefits me if more games are doing good things. Because it makes them all get better. And it makes the whole industry get better. It makes everything better. I don't like the idea it's like, I hope every other game sucks so that everybody has to play my game, whether or not it's the good fit for them. That's a stupid world to live in. I want all games to be good so everybody can pick the best fit for them. And be like, oh my gosh, the worst part about all games being good is I can only play my favorite games. I can't play my second favorite or my third favorite. That's the world I want to live in. But you're making it really hard to think you can be one of those people. When I spend time saying, give them a chance. It takes time to change. It takes time to get better. Don't expect this to be overnight. And so I defend you saying, they're not going to get better instantly. But then literally every single time we invite you over to a dinner party, say, hey guys, they're getting their life back together, you know, just be patient with them. You walk in the door and the first thing you do is insult everybody in the room. What is wrong with you? This just feels stupid. It just feels stupid and needless. Raid testing is the one thing. People saying that time walking releasing, who cares about time walking? Oh no, the next super squirt is timed for ultimate. Oh no, the overlap between the WoW players that are super optimized pet levelers and 14 ultimate raiders, world first ultimate raiders, that narrow group of people has been affected. Oh no, the new transmog farm is dropping the same day as more MSQ in 14. Who cares? 14 is known for MSQ. It is less than 1% of your total playtime in this game, but it's what it's known for. WoW is known for raiding. The number of people in the WoW community that do PTR raiding and raid at a mythic level is probably that same less than 1% of the total time spent in WoW. It's not what pays the bills. But it is on the marquee. So to take your marquee thing and unofficially release it, because that's the fastest you can slam it out on the same day as 14's, is legitimately a dick move. Because you're lording this over any players who are frustrated and are hardcore players and would have been back, and you're saying, yeah, I could have let you come back of your own accord, but I'd rather just kind of drag you over here. This is the most abusive relationship I can manage to think of with gamers. Outside of like Todd Howard coming out to say Fallout 76 sucks and we're excited to announce it now as an optional subscription model too, like I can't think of moments that are this blatantly abusive like this, where you're just trying to lord something over people. And it's testing. It shouldn't matter, and that actually makes you the bigger dick. All you had to do was move it at all. You do not appreciate us. You do not. Maybe you haven't heard of the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy XIV, but if not, get out from under a rock and figure it out. New World is going to beat the crap out of you over the next year. Ashes of Creation could be amazing. Guild Wars has a new expansion next spring. So, you know, get your Google Calendar out and decide what you're going to do to try to screw each and every one of them over each and every time. And then just hope that your players don't wake up and realize they're so bitter that they never play your game again.